The candles never flickered. They stood perfectly straight in the chocolate cake I'd spent 3 hours making, 70 small flames casting shadows across the empty dining room. The table was set for four, my good china, cloth napkins folded into swans like I'd learned from a YouTube video. Chicken roasting in the oven because John had always loved my herb chicken. My phone sat beside my plate, screen dark. No missed calls, no messages, just the clock ticking past 7, then 8, then 9. At 9:47, it finally buzzed. Sorry, Mom. We're at Jenny's parents' house tonight. They planned a dinner. Didn't want to disappoint them. We'll make it up to you. Happy birthday. I read it 3 times. Each time, the words rearranged themselves into the same truth. I was less important than not disappointing strangers. I set the phone down carefully, blew out the candles one by one. 70 breaths, 70 wishes that would never come true. The smoke curled upward, dissipating like every expectation I'd ever held about this night. My name is Betty Harrison. I am 70 years old today. I was married for 41 years to a man named Thomas, who died of a stroke 9 years ago. I taught second grade for 34 years, shaping tiny humans into readers and thinkers. I raised one child, John, who once told me I was his hero. Tonight, I'm eating birthday cake, alone in a house that smells of disappointment and cooling chicken. I met Thomas when I was 22, fresh out of teaching college. He sold insurance, wore bow ties unironically, and made me laugh in a way that felt like coming home. We married 6 months later in a ceremony so small, my mother said it barely counted. John arrived 2 years after that, a screaming red-faced miracle who didn't sleep for 18 months straight. I remember those nights walking circles around our tiny apartment while Thomas snored, John's weight against my shoulder, thinking, this is it? This is what matters? I went back to teaching when John was 3. Thomas's salary was decent, but not enough for the life we wanted, the house with the yard, the good school district, college savings. So I worked, and I loved it. 26 children every year, all needing someone to believe in them. John grew up in that house. The one I'm sitting in now, though, it looks different than it did then. The walls were yellow once, covered in his crayon drawings. Thomas and I used to argue about whether to paint over them or keep them forever. We painted. I wish we hadn't. When Thomas died, collapsed in the garden, pruning shears, still in his hand, I thought the grief would kill me too. John was 36 then, married to Jenny for 2 years. He held me at the funeral, whispered, "I've got you, Mom. You're not alone." I believed him. For the first year after Thomas died, John called every Sunday. We'd talk about everything and nothing. His job at the marketing firm, Jenny's sister's wedding, the leak in my roof he promised to fix. The calls were a lifeline, proof that I still mattered to someone. Then the calls became every other Sunday, then monthly, then only on holidays, and only because Jenny reminded him. I noticed. Of course I noticed. But what do you say? Please love me more. Please remember I exist. You can't beg for attention without sounding pathetic. So you stay quiet and hope the silence is temporary. It wasn't. Tonight, sitting at this table, I finally let myself acknowledge what I've been avoiding. I've become optional, not suddenly. Gradually, like colors fading in old photographs. Each missed call, each rescheduled visit, each time Jenny's family took priority, it added up to this moment. To me alone, on my 70th birthday, reading a text that said, "We'll make it up to you," as if this day could be replaced by any other. I walked to the window. Outside, the Hendersons' house glowed warm with light. Through their kitchen window, I could see them. The whole family around the table laughing at something. Probably a birthday. Their daughter turned 40 last week. The whole neighborhood heard the party. My house was silent. I picked up my phone and opened my messages. The last text from John before tonight was from 3 weeks ago. "Can you lend us $2,000? Car repair. We'll pay you back." I'd sent it. He'd never said thank you. Before that, running late, can't make Sunday lunch. Sorry. Before that, Jenny's parents invited us to their cabin. We'll visit when we're back. They'd never visited. I scrolled further back years dissolving into patterns. Every message was me reaching out, him responding with excuse-shaped words. Every holiday was spent with Jenny's family. Every milestone, their anniversary, Jenny's promotion, their new house, I learned about through social media or belated phone calls. I wasn't part of their life. I was a box they checked occasionally to feel like good people. The realization didn't hurt the way you'd expect. It was quieter than that. A door closing softly, a light going out. Just the recognition that something I'd believed was permanent had actually ended a long time ago, and I'd been pretending not to notice. I cut myself a slice of cake. It was perfect, moist, rich, the frosting smoothed with the care of someone who thought it mattered. I took a bite. It tasted like regret. At some point, I stopped eating and started crying. Not the loud, cathartic kind, just tears running down my face while I sat very still, fork in hand, the clock ticking toward midnight. When my phone buzzed again, I almost didn't look. Jenny just wanted to say happy birthday, hope you had a wonderful day. The emojis felt like violence. I typed back, thank you. It was perfect. Then I turned off my phone. Sleep didn't come. I lay in the bed I'd shared with Thomas, staring at the ceiling, mind spinning through memories that now felt tainted. Had John always been this way and I just made excuses? Or had Jenny changed him, taught him to measure love by convenience? At 3 a.m., I got up, poured myself tea, sat at the kitchen table with a notebook, one of the blank ones I kept for lesson planning back when I still taught. At the top of the first page, I wrote, what do I have left? Underneath, the house paid off, Thomas's life insurance mostly intact, my pension modest but sufficient, savings, about this life suffocating. I stared at that last line. Added, what do I want? The pen hovered. For 70 years, I'd wanted to be a good wife, a good mother, a good teacher. I'd built my identity around being useful to other people. But now Thomas was gone, my students had grown up, and my son had decided I was decorative at best. What did I want? The answer came quietly. To matter to someone, even if that someone is just me. I drew a line under the lists, started a new section. What would it take? By the time the sun rose, I had a plan. It wasn't revenge, nothing so dramatic. It was simpler and scarier erasure, not theirs. If I'd already disappeared from their lives, why pretend to exist? The morning after my birthday, I woke to a text from John. Hope you enjoyed the cake. Sorry we couldn't make it. Soon. The word people use when they mean never but don't want to admit it. I didn't respond. Instead, I made coffee and opened my laptop. Started searching. When you teach for 34 years, you learn research skills, how to find information, verify sources, track patterns. I'd used those skills to help students with science projects and history papers. Now I was using them to audit my own life. First stop, bank accounts. I logged in, started reviewing statements from the past 3 years. The pattern was immediate. Monthly transfers to John and Jenny. Never requested, just expected. Car repairs, home improvements, Jenny's student loans. Small amounts, mostly $200 here, $500 there, but they added up. $43,000 over 3 years. I'd never tracked it because I trusted them. Because when your child asks for help, you give it. But I noticed now, not once had they paid me back. Not once had they even acknowledged the debt. Next, my will. I pulled the document from the filing cabinet drafted 5 years ago when Thomas died. Standard stuff. Everything to John. The house, the savings, the jewelry, the photographs. My entire life reduced to assets he'd inherit. I read the executor clause, John Harrison, primary. Jenny Harrison, secondary. Jenny, who'd met me exactly 12 times in 9 years. Who'd never called unless John was on the line. Who'd planned tonight's dinner with her parents on my birthday without thinking twice. I closed the folder, opened another, property records, utility bills, insurance policies. Every single document listed John as the emergency contact. Some listed him as co-owner on accounts I didn't remember adding him to. Had I, or had he helped me simplify things after Thomas died when I was too grief-stricken to read fine print? My hands shook as I pulled out my phone, called the insurance company. Harrison Insurance, how can I help you? Hi, this is Betty Harrison. I need to verify who's listed on my homeowner's policy. Typing sounds. Let me pull that up. Okay, I'm seeing primary policyholder John Harrison, secondary Betty Harrison. The room tilted. When was that changed? Looks like October 20, a year after Thomas died. A year when I could barely remember my own name from grief. And who authorized that change? The form was signed by both parties and notarized. Can you send me a copy of that form? Absolutely. To the email on file? That's jharrison20. John's email? Not mine. Actually, I said slowly, can you send it to a different address? I gave her my own. The form arrived within 10 minutes. I opened it with hands that felt numb. There was my signature, shaky, uncertain, the handwriting of someone barely functional. And beside it, John's neat script, confident and clear. The notary stamp looked official, but I didn't remember signing it. Didn't remember the notary. Didn't remember any of it. Had I been that lost in grief? Or had he helped me sign things I wasn't clear about? I called the utility company next, then the credit card company, then the same story everywhere. John's name, primary, mine secondary, changes made in 2019 and 2020 when I was still learning how to exist without Thomas. By noon, I had documentation of a pattern. By evening, I understood its purpose. I'd been systematically edited out of my own life. Not stolen from nothing that dramatic. Just demoted, made optional. When you're primary, you have power. When you're secondary, you exist at someone else's discretion. I called my friend Margaret. We'd taught together for 20 years before she retired to Arizona. She answered on the second ring, voice warm with surprise. Betty, I was just thinking about you. Happy belated birthday, sweetheart. How was it? The question cracked something in me. I told her everything, the empty table, the text, the documents I'd found. She listened without interrupting the way good teachers do. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Betty, do you remember when we went through that custody case? The second grader whose father was using her as a pawn? Sarah Mitchell. Of course. You said something to me then. You said people don't steal children. They convince everyone the child is theirs to take. She paused. I think John's been doing the same thing. Convincing everyone, including you, that your life is his to manage. And when you're 70 and lonely and he's got his name on everything, who are you going to turn to? I stopped because it wasn't crazy. It was clear. Have you talked to a lawyer? About what? She hasn't done anything illegal. I signed the forms, apparently. Betty, you were grieving. If he took advantage of that, it might be undue influence. But more importantly, you need to protect yourself now, while you still can. After we hung up, I sat with that phrase, while you still can, as if there was a deadline I hadn't seen coming. As if I was running out of time to reclaim myself. I opened my laptop again. Searched, financial abuse, elderly parent. The results made me sick. Story after story of children who'd manipulated widowed parents, convinced them to sign away control, isolated them from friends and resources. It had a name, financial exploitation. I wasn't elderly. I was 70, sharp, healthy, capable. But on paper, I'd been transformed into a woman who needed managing. And the person managing me was the one who stood to inherit everything. That night, I couldn't eat. Just sat at the table, staring at the leftover cake, thinking about all the birthdays I'd celebrated for John. The themed parties, the homemade costumes, the cakes shaped like dinosaurs and spaceships. I'd given him 27 birthdays before he moved out. Since then, I counted 18 years, he'd remembered 7. The others excuses, apologies, belated texts with gift cards. My phone buzzed. John, hey mom, can you send that $2,000 by Friday? Forgot to mention, but our anniversary trip is coming up. Could use extra cushion. Our anniversary. the one I hadn't been told about, wouldn't be invited to celebrate. For the first time in my life, I didn't respond to my son immediately. I just stared at the message, watching the cursor blink, feeling something cold and clear settle in my chest. Margaret was right. I needed to protect myself. The question was, from what? From being forgotten? From being used? Or from the slow erasure of a woman who'd spent 70 years making herself smaller so other people could shine? I picked up the phone, but instead of texting John, I searched for attorneys. By midnight, I had 3 appointments scheduled. By 2 a.m., I'd started a list. Things to do before I disappear. Because if I was already invisible in their lives, maybe it was time to make it official. Only this time on my terms. The attorney's office smelled like leather and old paper. Patricia Rossi was 68, sharp-eyed, with silver hair cut in a no-nonsense bob. She shook my hand firmly and gestured to a chair. "Margaret spoke highly of you," she said. "Told me you need help protecting your assets. I need help understanding my options." She opened a leather folder. "Tell me everything." I laid out the documents, the insurance policy with John listed as primary, the joint accounts I didn't remember opening, the pattern of financial requests that never got repaid. She took notes, occasionally asking clarifying questions. When I finished, she sat back. "Mrs. Harrison, what do you want? And please be honest, not what you think you should want, but what you actually want." The question caught me off guard. I want to feel like my life is mine again. "Do you want to maintain a relationship with John?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. I want him to realize I'm not a convenience, that I'm a person who deserves consideration. But I don't think he'll realize that unless something changes. And you don't want to wait around hoping he changes on his own. I've been waiting 9 years. She smiled. Not unkind, just knowing. "Here's what we can do. First, we remove John from all your accounts. Every single one. We establish new accounts in your name only. Redirect all income there. Second, we revise your will. Third, we document everything. Every request for money, every missed commitment, every way he's positioned himself to inherit without earning it. Will that hurt him legally? Not unless he contests the will, which he might. But if you're systematic about this, if we build a paper trail showing you're of sound mind and making informed decisions, he'll have no grounds." "What about the house?" She pulled out another form. "Deed's in your name. He can't touch it unless you sell or sign it over. But I'd recommend recording a formal statement of intent, that you're maintaining sole ownership, that any future changes require notarized consent, with a witness you choose, not him." By the time I left Patricia's office, I had a plan. Phase 1, financial independence. Open new checking savings at different banks. Transfer all funds. Remove John from existing accounts. Cancel joint credit cards. Phase 2, legal protection. Revise will estate to charity. Not John. Update power of attorney, Margaret, not John. Create living will. File statement of asset ownership. Phase 3, exit strategy. List house for sale. Quietly. Research relocation options. Dispose of unnecessary belongings. Plan departure. That last one had come to me during the meeting. If John wanted me optional, I'd become optional. Complete. Over the next 3 weeks, I moved through the phases like a woman possessed. Every morning, I woke with purpose. Every night, I fell asleep, exhausted but steady. I opened accounts at a credit union across town, one John had never used. Transferred my pension, my Social Security, the remnants of Thomas's insurance. Changed every password, every security question. When the bank called to verify the changes, I was ready with answers that proved I was mentally competent and acting willfully. I revised my will. The new version left the house to a literacy nonprofit, the savings to the school where I'd taught. John would inherit my jewelry and personal items. Nothing liquid, nothing he could sell without effort. Patricia helped me draft a letter explaining my reasoning, not out of spite, but out of recognition that you built a life without me in it. This is me accepting that reality. I didn't plan to give him the letter yet, but writing it felt necessary. John called twice during those weeks, both times to ask for money. "Hey, Mom, so our roof needs repair?" The contractor wants $7,000 up front. Can you help us out? I don't have that kind of money available right now. What do you mean? You've got savings. Had savings? I've been giving them to you? Silence. Then defensive. Mom, that's not fair. We've been helping you. How? What? How have you been helping me? Name one thing you've done for me in the past year. More silence. We visited at Christmas for 3 hours. You spent the rest of the week with Jenny's family. You're being dramatic? Maybe. Or maybe I'm just noticing patterns. I kept my voice calm. I'm not loaning money anymore, John. I need it for my own expenses. What expenses? You're retired. The house is paid off. Living. I have living expenses. He hung up frustrated. Didn't call back. 3 days later, Jenny called. Betty, hi. It's Jenny. Her voice was bright, artificial. John told me you're worried about finances. We're worried too. Is everything okay? Everything's fine. It's just, you said you can't help with the roof and we're concerned you're struggling. Do you need us to look at your accounts, make sure nothing's wrong? There it was, the trap disguised as concern. Jenny, I appreciate your worry, but my finances are managed. By who? By me. Oh, well, if you change your mind, we're here to help. I'll remember that. After she hung up, I sat at the kitchen table, hands shaking, not from fear, but from clarity. They'd been preparing for this, positioning themselves as caregivers so that when I was older, more vulnerable, they'd have legal standing to control everything. I'd almost let them. The real estate agent came on a Tuesday. Her name was Donna, mid-50s, efficient. She walked through the house, taking notes, asking questions. When are you hoping to sell? Within 3 months. That's quick. Any particular reason? I'm relocating. Locally? Italy. She looked up, surprised. That's exciting. Do you have family there? No, that's the point. She smiled recognition, maybe even approval. Mrs. Harrison, I think we can work with that timeline. This is a good neighborhood, solid bones. I'll have comps by Friday. After she left, I walked through the empty rooms. 41 years of marriage. 45 years in this house. Every corner held memory. John's first steps in the living room. Thomas pruning roses by the window, family dinners that once felt permanent. But memory isn't the same as presence. And I was tired of living in a museum of my own past. I started sorting. Donate pile, trash pile, keep pile. The keep pile was surprisingly small. Photographs, Thomas's watch, a few books. Everything else could go. John's baby clothes, donate. Wedding china, sell. Thomas's tools, donate. Furniture, sell, with house. By the time I finished, 3 weeks later, the house looked staged, empty of personality, full of potential for someone else's life. Donna called with an offer, full asking price, cash buyer, closing in 60 days. Do you want me to negotiate higher? She asked. No. Accept it. Are you sure? In this market, I'm sure. I signed the paperwork that afternoon. The buyer wanted a quick closing. I wanted a quick escape. We were aligned. I researched cities. Florence was too touristy. Rome, too expensive. But Lucca, a small walled city in Tuscany, felt right. Walkable, quiet, full of expatriates and locals who minded their own business. I rented an apartment sight unseen. 1 bedroom, terrace overlooking tile roofs, 6-month lease, paid in full with money I'd taken from savings before John knew to watch for it. Plane ticket, one way, departing 2 weeks after closing. I told no one except Patricia and Margaret. Everyone else would find out when I was ready, or after I was gone. The house sold on a Thursday in late October. I signed papers at Patricia's office, watched my life become a wire transfer, $580,000. More than enough to live comfortably in Italy for the rest of my years. The buyers wanted possession. In 2 weeks, I'd timed it perfectly. I spent those weeks in a strange limbo. The house was empty except for a suitcase, a sleeping bag, and my laptop. No furniture, no decoration, just echoes. John called on day 3 of the limbo. Mom, we're planning Thanksgiving at Jenny's parents'. You're obviously invited if you want to come. Obviously. The word meant its opposite. I have other plans, I said. Oh, okay. He sounded relieved. What are you doing? Traveling. That's nice. Where? I'll send pictures. We hung up. He didn't ask for details, didn't ask if I needed help or company. Just accepted that I'd be gone and moved on with his life. Good, that made this easier. Margaret called the night before I left. Are you really doing this? I am. No doubts? None. She was quiet. Then I'm proud of you. And jealous. Maybe I'll visit. You're always welcome. Have you told John? No. Betty. He'll figure it out. I hung up before she could argue. That night, I wrote the letter. Not the legal one. Patricia had helped with a different one. Personal. Final. Dear John, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. Not dead, just gone. I've sold the house, settled my affairs, and moved to Italy. You won't know where, and I'm not telling you yet. I need you to understand something. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I left because I realized you'd already left me. You left when you stopped calling. When you spent my birthday with Jenny's family. When you asked for money, but never asked how I was doing. When you put your name on my accounts and convinced me it was for my protection. I spent 9 years waiting for you to notice me. To remember that I'm a person, not just a resource. But you didn't. And I finally accepted that you won't. This isn't punishment. It's clarity. You wanted me optional. I'm making it official. The house is sold. The money's mine. Your inheritance is a box of photographs and Thomas's watch. If you want more, you'll have to earn it by actually being my son again. I don't know if we can fix this. Maybe it's too broken. But if you ever want to try, you'll have to find me first. And finding me requires effort, something you haven't shown me in years. I hope you're happy with Jenny's family. I hope they give you everything I couldn't. But I hope even more that someday you realize what you lost when you stopped showing up. I love you. I always will. But love doesn't mean staying where I'm not wanted. Goodbye, John. Mom. I sealed it in an envelope. Left it on the kitchen counter, propped against the wall where the table used to be. Then I walked out. The flight left at 6 a.m. I arrived at the airport 3 hours early, checked my single suitcase, bought terrible coffee, sat at the gate watching families reunite, couples kiss goodbye, business people stare at phones. My phone buzzed. John, hey, can you help with Christmas gifts this year? Jenny's mom expects expensive stuff. I turned off my phone. Boarding started. I walked down the jet bridge feeling lighter with every step. Not happy, not yet, but free. Finally, undeniably free. The plane lifted off as the sun rose. Below, the city I'd lived in for 45 years shrank to nothing. Somewhere down there, John was waking up, drinking coffee, planning his day without once thinking of me. Let him. By the time he realized I was gone, I'd be across an ocean. By the time he found my letter, I'd be in a new country, speaking a language he didn't know, living a life he couldn't track. By the time he tried to call, I'd have a new number. By the time he cared, it would be too late. I landed in Pisa, took a train to Lucca, found my apartment in the late afternoon. The landlord, a woman named Julia, welcomed me with wine and bread. You are alone? She asked in careful English. Yes. Good. Lucca is good for alone. She was right. The city was quiet, ancient, full of people who'd lived entire lives within stone walls. I fit right in, another person building something new from ruins. That first night, I stood on my terrace, watching lights flicker across terracotta roofs. Somewhere in the distance, church bells rang. My phone, the new one, the one John didn't have the number for, stayed silent. It was perfect. John found the letter on November 15th. I know because that's when Margaret called. Betty, he's losing his mind. He called me 6 times yesterday. Says he went to check on you and the house was empty. Everything's gone. He found your note. Good. He's panicking. Says you're not answering your phone because I changed my number. He thinks something's happened to you. That you're having a breakdown. I'm having a breakthrough? There's a difference. Margaret laughed. sharp and surprised. He wants my help finding you. Are you gonna give it? Hell no. But Betty, he's your son. He was my son. Then he became someone who used me. I'm not sure what he is now. She was quiet. Then, how's Italy? Perfect. Lonely, but perfect. Send pictures. I did. Photos of narrow cobblestone streets, cafes with outdoor seating, my tiny terrace with its view of ancient walls. She responded with heart emojis. John sent nothing because he didn't have my new number. The email started a week later. Mom, please call me. I'm worried. The house is gone. Your phone is disconnected. Please just let me know you're okay. Then I talked to Patricia. She said you're fine, but won't tell me where you are. Why would you do this? What did I do wrong? Then Jenny and I are really worried. This isn't like you. If you're angry about something, can we talk about it? I didn't respond. Not out of cruelty, I just had nothing to say yet. The letter had said everything. But I watched the emails arrive, one after another, escalating from concern to confusion to anger. You sold the house without telling me. That was my inheritance. How could you do that? There it was, the truth beneath the concern. He wasn't worried about me, he was worried about money. Jenny's parents think you're having a mental health crisis. Maybe they're right, you're 70, maybe you're not thinking clearly. I'm going to talk to Patricia about getting legal guardianship. That one made me laugh. Not bitterly, genuinely, because he just threatened exactly what I documented, his intention to control me against my will. I forwarded the email to Patricia with one line, for the file. She responded immediately, if he pursues guardianship, we're ready. He has no case. Christmas came. I spent it alone in my apartment, cooking pasta, carbonara from a recipe Julia taught me. No tree, no gifts, just wine and quiet and the strange peace of chosen solitude. My new phone rang. Unknown number. I answered, hello, Mom. My heart stopped. John, how did you get this number? Margaret gave it to me, finally, after I begged. His voice was raw. Mom, please, talk to me. I almost hung up, but something, maybe guilt, maybe habit kept me on the line. I'm listening. Where are you? Somewhere you're not. That's not funny. It's not meant to be. Silence. Then quieter. I read your letter multiple times, and I don't understand. We've always been there for you. John, you spent my 70th birthday with Jenny's family. We explained that. They'd already planned. You asked for money 2 weeks ago, but couldn't remember my birthday until the day of. That's not. You put your name on my insurance without asking. You positioned yourself to inherit everything while giving nothing back. I was protecting you. From what? Myself? My own competence? You were grieving. You weren't thinking straight. Someone had to make sure things were handled. There it was again. Had to. As if his interference was necessary rather than convenient. John, I'm 70, not senile. I've been handling my own life just fine without you. Then why are you hiding in Italy? I'm not hiding, I'm living. There's a difference. He exhaled sharply. Jenny and I want to visit, talk this through, fix whatever's broken. What's broken is 9 years old. You can't fix it in a weekend, so what? You're just gone. Forever. I looked out at the terrace, the city beyond. I don't know. Maybe. Mom, you have my email? If you want to actually rebuild something, you'll have to earn it. Slowly. Over time. By showing up. Not with apologies, with consistency. That's not fair. Fair would have been you showing up on my birthday. This is just consequence. I hung up. My hands shook. Not from anger. From something more complicated. Relief, maybe. Or grief. Or both. Over the next months, John sent emails. Some were angry. Some were pleading. Some were introspective, the kind where he almost grasped what he'd done wrong. I think I got so busy with my life that I forgot you were living yours. Jenny says I treat you like an obligation instead of a person. I keep remembering when I was 8, and broke my arm. You stayed with me all night. I can't remember the last time I stayed with you through anything. Those emails I responded to, briefly, not forgiveness, just acknowledgement. I'm glad you're starting to see it. Awareness is the first step. You don't have to remember, you just have to do better going forward. But I didn't tell him where I was, didn't offer to come home, didn't make it easy, because easy was how we'd gotten here. Spring arrived, Lucca bloomed, flowers spilling from window boxes, tourists filling the streets. I'd made friends, Julia, who taught me Italian, Marco, who ran the cafe where I drank espresso, Elena, another expatriate, British, who'd left a similar situation. My daughter wanted me in a home, Elena said one afternoon. Said I was too old to manage alone, so I moved to Spain. Best decision I ever made. Do you talk to her now? Sometimes. On my terms. She learned I wasn't negotiable. I understood that. Being non-negotiable. My phone rang. John again. Mom, I need to tell you something. Okay. Jenny and I separated. 3 weeks ago, I sat down. What happened? I realized she was doing to me what I'd done to you, making all the decisions, controlling everything. And when I pushed back, she said I was being ungrateful. He laughed bitterly. That word, grateful, I heard it and thought of you. I'm sorry, John. Don't be. It needed to happen. He paused. I want to visit. If you'll let me, not to fix things, just to see where you are, who you've become. It's a long flight. I know, and I'm not coming back. I know that too. I looked at the calendar. Come in April. There's a music festival. We can go together. Really? Really? But John, one visit doesn't fix 9 years. I know, but maybe it's a start. Maybe it was. John visited in April, then again in August, then October. Each time we walked the city, ate at small restaurants, talked about things that mattered, not the past, the present, who we were becoming. He apologized. Often, sometimes too much. I can't stop thinking about your birthday, he said one afternoon. The table you set, the cake you made, and we just didn't show up. No, you didn't. How do I make up for that? You can't. You can only do better going forward. Is that enough? I thought about it. For now. Jenny sent an email, just one, months after the separation. Betty, I'm sorry. I pushed John to distance himself. I thought you were a burden. I was wrong. I didn't respond. Some apologies don't require acknowledgement. Margaret visited in December. We drank wine on my terrace, watched the winter sun set over ancient walls. You did it, she said. You actually left. I did. Regrets? None. You. She smiled. I'm moving to Portugal. Bought a villa last month. We clinked glasses. Two women who'd spent their lives teaching others, finally learning to value themselves. John called on my 71st birthday. Mom, I'm not there, but I wanted to say happy birthday. And I'm sorry I can't be there in person. It's okay. No, it's not, but I'm trying. I sent something. Should arrive this week. A package came 3 days later, a photo album, pictures from my teaching years, students I'd forgotten, moments I'd lost. He'd tracked them down, collected them, assembled them into proof that my life had mattered beyond him. The card read, you taught hundreds of kids to read. You changed lives. I'm sorry I forgot that. I won't again. I cried, not from sadness, from recognition. My son was still in there, buried under years of poor choices and bad influence, but still there. Maybe we'd find our way back to each other? Maybe not. But either way, I was okay. These days, I wake to church bells, drink espresso at Marco's cafe, speak Italian badly, but enthusiastically, volunteer at the local school teaching English to children who remind me why I love teaching. I'm 71, healthy, content, living in a city where no one knows my history, my disappointments. John emails weekly now. Sometimes we video chat. He's learning Italian. Says maybe he'll move here someday. I don't discourage him, but I don't plan around him either. Because I learned something in that first year. Happiness isn't about revenge or reconciliation. It's about choosing yourself when everyone else has chosen you last. My name is Betty Harrison. I'm 71 years old. I spent my birthday alone on purpose this year. Made myself a small cake, lit one candle, made one wish. To never forget what I'm worth, the candle burned steady. Didn't flicker once. Outside, the city hummed with life, couples walking, children laughing, people living the lives they'd chosen. I raised my glass to the empty room, to the table that wasn't set for anyone but me, to the space I'd reclaimed by leaving everything behind. Happy birthday, Betty, I whispered. And for the first time in years, I meant it.